This is Douglas Noble. I'm here for the National Association of Black and White Men Together History and Legacy Project, and this evening we're interviewing D.A. Leonard of what in its latest incarnation is known as BWMT Milwaukee.
Yes, BWMT Milwaukee. In my heart, that's what it's always been.
Well, welcome to the project. I know you're already familiar with it because you've done some interviews yourself.
Yes.
What was your first contact with Black and White Men Together?
My first contact was through a gentleman in Milwaukee named Alan Hess. I and my first partner were invited to a party, and we went there, and it was actually a video night at Alan Hess's home. And what happened is we went to the party, and it ended up being pornography, which we didn't know it was going to be. And each of us got hit on by other people, and they knew we had come there as partners. And we vowed we would never go back. We were very disgusted with that aspect. We didn't see because of that. Until after my partner and I broke up. And then I went in a cave like a hermit for about 6 months in total depression. And then I realized, oh, BWMT, they were hitting on me. So I went back, the fall of '83 that was then. And it was just about the time when they were hosting their second anniversary function, or third anniversary. And we had a show called The March of the Falsettos and all that, and it was a theater group. And I went and met Del Davis, Alan Hess, Kenny Peters, Mark Behar, Michael Lazarski, Quentin Jameson, the whole group that was really more or less the leadership of BWMT Milwaukee. And they were just a bunch of great guys. And even though I didn't score, and that's what I was going there for, somehow I connected with the gentleman. And they were talking, well, hey, convention's going to be in Atlanta this next summer. Who wants to go? And it sounded like a nice thing. And, I just came over and broke up the relationship. And that, in Milwaukee, everyone said, oh, here's D.A. and all he's going to do is moan about his former relationship that he misses this man so much. And that happened. And I was just bored people to death talking about my relationship that was lost. But I went to the Atlanta Convention in 1984, and that was the hook that got set of me for BWMT. I was truly a convert, and it wasn't a set, because I can honestly say in almost now, 19-some years in BWMT, I've had sex with 2 gentlemen, and they were both during the Atlanta Convention from BWMT. I used to take boyfriends to BWMT. And in the fall of 1984, I met my current partner, Michael Ross, and we've been together ever since. And I had brought him into the BWMT. So for me, even though, a lot of people identify BWMT as being a sex club, and I thought it was when I went there the second time, it never proved to be that to me. It proved to be rather a support group, social group, educational group, and some politics. Milwaukee was political for a while. But the Milwaukee chapter, 83 through about 88, 89 was a very strong chapter. At its height, 85, 86, we had about 70 to 80 members. Most of them very active. I mean, there were some that were just members. We used to have parties that would host 125, 130 people, picnic, house parties, etc. And sometimes I would be the host. Sometimes I would help. Sometimes I was just partying there. And I enjoyed it. And my partner, Michael, and I used to. But in any case, after the Atlanta Convention, I then I did not attend the convention in LA, and I totally missed that I didn't, because my good friend who since passed, Nicky Pritchie, convinced me that we didn't want to spend all the money going out to LA, and he knew that the hotel was out by the airport and it wasn't a very big one. So rather, Nicky Pritchie, myself, Charles from Chicago, and Luther Carlisle, and said we got a Mickey's band, and Mickey was famous for having the blue band or the blue bus, and we drove out to Washington, D.C. for the same week at convention. We had a good time there. So it was interesting, was Luther and I were good friends, and Mickey was a good friend with me, and Charles was Mickey's friend. And through that weekend, it got to where I was not talking to Luther, and I was not talking to Mickey, but Charles and I teamed up and did everything together, and Mickey and Luther. We got home, and about a month and a half where I didn't talk to Mickey, Mickey didn't talk to me, I didn't talk to Luther, but as old friends do, we reconciled. And, a little bit after that, we could laugh, oh, remember how angry we were at each other and this and type of thing. But that's the thing about BWC, is you've got friendships, and they're friendships for life. You may have a dispute over an issue or something foolish, and over the East trip, it was really something foolish. But it was something that, it was fun, it was different, but that we made up was current friends. But in any case, so I missed convention in 85. I did attend convention in 86. And it was at that time that Milwaukee had voted that they would try to hold convention 87, which we didn't do. And I was on the convention committee, primarily PR, because I'd asked them to do it, and running the registration was. I enjoyed it. We, for 2 years, were debating. And one of the sad parts about it is we had an issue decided, and somebody would have missed the meeting, and they'd come back to the subsequent meeting, and the issue would be brought up again because someone wasn't part of the discussion, and they might reverse the course of what had been decided before. And our two co-chairs for Convention 87 was Alan Hess and Luther Carlisle. And Luther was very quiet. He was an engineer by training, African-American gentleman, very literate. Another very literate African-American, Ken and Peter, Richard Miner, some of the fantastic people. But when Luther Carlisle spoke, and he never raised his voice, he was always very quiet. But when he was hushed, people would listen to Luther and basically would agree with him. He had a way of synthesizing discussion and bringing things to the head. He was excellent at that. Luther Carlisle, like I say, he was positive. And what broke him with BWC is Alan Hess, his co-chair, presented to the Milwaukee Journal a picture of himself and Luther hosting the NABWC convention. And that's what Luther was outed to his parents and to his workforce. Luther stayed with BWC for another year and a half after that, but he never stayed in the organization. But he made this in the But Convention 87 was truly a remarkable feat for Milwaukee because we had never seen anything like of that nature of a convention in Milwaukee before. We actually had the banner on City Hall, Milwaukee welcomes NABWC. We also had the proclamation from the mayor, and at that time we had a quite conservative mayor called Henry Meyer. And for him to give us the proclamation was amazing. We had also our county executive gave us the proclamation. And remarkable because Milwaukee is an old country type of town at that time, especially German, Polish, ethnic groups. It was starting to develop a sizable minority population, primarily black, but it was very segregated also. So that we were welcomed by the political powers of the convention. Convention planning was difficult, and initially our convention planning was 24 people. What ended up happening is early on, just in the planning stages, one of our dear members, Del Davis, was murdered in his own home. He had brought a man in that he was going to pay the man to help him move the keys. And Del had a way of sliding into the issue about theft and maybe, paying the man for that. So this man took umbrage at Dale's proposition and strangled him with a telephone cord. And then tried to drive off with Del's car and got stopped because he couldn't drive a stick shift. A lot of us attended the funeral, but in any case. So we did end up hosting the convention. It was remarkable because during our convention, there was the debate about the name change that got very vicious and hurtful and spiteful because it got beyond the issue of the name change from CAWMT to MACC, which is men of all colors together as opposed to black and white men together. And it got to get into personalities, which was unfortunate. Also, at the conclusion of convention during our banquet, our full speaker was Joseph Dean, the author of the anthology In the Light. And even though we had given him a topic to sort of speak on, Mr. Dean discarded that and brought on the topic about black self-hatred, meaning loving a white man, and caused very much dissension and trouble at our convention because that was the concluding document or activity. Now, had Joe Bean, with his changed topic than earlier, where there could have been further discussion, it may not have been so divisive of an issue, but it was very hurtful in that way. But we had a lot of good things in conventions. We had talent show. We were the second talent show that we had in the bar, where in New York was the first talent show. They had theirs in a church hall where most of their convention was. We also had a beer tasting, which no one had ever tried something like that. But Mark Behar, who is a health practitioner, arranged the Miller Brewery, which has been very gay supported in Milwaukee, to bring in, I think it was 9 different flavors of beer and little bits of that. We had, during our convention, the summer festival was going on, it was the music festival, 11-day music festival in Milwaukee, and we provided tickets at only $5 per person for anyone who wanted to go to see Paul Simon with Ladysmith Black from Round, I can't even say the word now, but in any case, and that was the rave that people couldn't believe that they could get to see Paul Simon and the South African music group for $5 a ticket. But that, we made special arrangements and we did fundraising. We also we were targeting for 225, but our registration ended up with 187. But we still made a profit of over $2,000, which was shared with the national. But that's because in Milwaukee we know how to budget, and we consider ourselves frugal, not cheap. So, but that was convention, and it was a great experience. But sadly, after hosting the convention, people were burnt out, and a number of really good people like Mark Behar and a few others, Richard Miner, they come to a couple social events, but they weren't active anymore. They had really had enough. And the unfortunate part is Mark Behar had taped about 7.5 hours of the Dr. Coachman Black and White Styles and Conflicts, plus other sessions of the convention, and they've never been produced. He still has the raw tape, but they've never been edited. And that would be something that would be fantastic, because Dr. Coachman's discussions were very moving. So that was convention 87, and I've attended, I don't even know how many conventions now, 84, 86, 87, this 88, 89, then I attended 90, which was the reunion one in San Francisco. And that one was hard for me because I was just recovering from having a bout of hepatitis A. And we went to the parade, I marched in the parade and collapsed in, I guess it's called Union Square in San Francisco. And my Michael basically hovered over me, protected from being stepped on, because I actually literally collapsed. And woke up about an hour and a half later, just drenching wet in sweat. And San Francisco was cool. And but on that trip, we also did Russian River and San Simeon, because we like to get more for our dollars. I didn't like San Francisco. I like convention. I like the reception, but I do not enjoy the climate of San Francisco. Then 91 convention, I think, was Detroit. And that was very good. My good friend Mickey was at that time showing very severe signs of HIV and AIDS. I went to Dallas in 92, and that was, for me, very hard, because Mickey died during that convention. Excuse me. But I flew home for the funeral, and flew back, and that round trip there cost me more than for the two of us round trip. But it was, you just have to do it for some reason. I did go to the 93 convention in Chicago, and that was because of what they did with their name change. And I was a member of Chicago. I had dual membership. And I couldn't make it down, and they wouldn't give absentee ballots for the name change. The name change passed only by 2 votes, and there was another gentleman, Steve, from Gary area, that also missed, and both of us were not allowed to send an absentee ballot about the name change. All was against the name change, because I said we are black and white men together. And the Chicago chapter at the time, like the Milwaukee chapter, was black and white men. We didn't have Hispanic men, we didn't have Asian men, we didn't have other men of color or anything else. But about 93 Milwaukee chapter members of Food Page, there were people that would come to the parties, of course. And Quentin Jameson, Michael Lazowski, Michael Ross, and myself were the 4 primaries. And then we'd have a few others that would come by. These are people that have been there all the time. And they actually they were tired of supporting the party for general young gay men who were interracial involved, or the men that would come to us, pick up somebody and leave them, and we wouldn't see them again until they needed to pick somebody else up here. And that's what happened quite a bit. So after, somewhere in the fall of '93, BWC ceased to function in Milwaukee after a 13-year run. Within a year, two of the older members, or one of the who had been an older member of the original BWC Milwaukee with a new partner, founded MACT Milwaukee. And they had about 14, 16 members, regular attendance, and that went on for about 2 years. Because of the name, and I will not deny that I have a prejudice, I do not like the name Men of All Colors Together, and I will not join that group. So I refused to join them, and I didn't even go to the social clubs, but I kept up with it because I knew people.
Who was in that group? Who was the people?
David Rampa, Ray Grant, Michael Lazowski was in it, Ralph Navarro, those are the ones I can think of right offhand. In any case, I did not join that. Shortly after that, they changed their name to People of All Colors Together, and I readily ran for them. I could join. To me, the name BWC is not sacrosanct. It's just that I'm against MACT. So when they became PACT, I joined, and I enjoyed that because we had two lesbian couples in the group. One was both African American women, and one was an interracial lesbian couple. And we did that, and I was trying to convince people, because at the time it was MACT and PACT, no one in the Milwaukee group wanted to get involved with either the region or the national. And I've always been hooked on the national, and I attended region. I convinced it as PACT for a group of us to go to a regional one. It was in Chicago, and I think that was in '94. And we went down, and people besides myself and my significant other, Michael Ross, raved about the good time, the camaraderie that was there. So I was feeling good. I said, we're going to start dialoguing. And then it just ended there. The people didn't want to spend the money to send it to the National Association or the regional. And the next, I think, regional was down in Memphis, and no one wanted to travel that far to spend that much money. So that was there. And then PACT lasted for another couple of years, and they were social, but they also had a function of working on anti-HIV outreach, and they actually got a grant from the National Association that they requested because they were good at. Dave Rampa was a AIDS educator with the Medical College of Wisconsin. He was a good grant writer. He wrote for a grant from the National, and I'm not sure if it actually came from the National or the National Task Force on AIDS Prevention, which was an organization founded by BWC, but later had broken off. But anyhow, they got a grant of, I think it was $750, but they ended up only spending like about 200 of it to get some brochures to pass out in the bars, especially Milwaukee at that time had two African-American gay bars. And after they got brochures and started passing them out, the group went under, and they had the funds left in the Treasury, and the funds that were left in the Treasury were mailed back to the National Association. So, then in about 1997, I said, there's got to be a chapter in Milwaukee. We can't go and not have a chapter at BWC. And I talked to a number of people, and a group of interracial friends and some friends that were black on black or white on white said they would join, but they didn't want to join a group that had such a reputation as Black and White, because they said that was just a group for a sex club. And I said, well, it isn't, but that's right. What can we call it? And they said, how about just for us guys, Milwaukee Men Together. So for a year, we were a bunch of, and basically, Milwaukee Men Together was my association of my friends who were gay men. Two couples were interracial, others were not interracial. But they said we're a social group. We'll get together, and they never went to a regional. They never went to a national. They paid $10 to $15 per couple. And I don't remember what it was now. Enough that I could send money to the national to be a member of the national. We were that, and that was 1 year, and that went under because really we weren't doing anything other than house parties, and I didn't think that was enough to be a functioning group, although some people thought it was. And then Westwood, via I think it was the national chat line that he has posted on Saturdays, connected with a gentleman in Milwaukee named Peter, and had Peter contact me because West and I know each other since convention in, I think it was Key West in '85 where I met with 95, the first time. In any case, he referred Peter to me. Peter and I connected, And we were talking for about 6 months, and we said, well, let's give it a thing. And Peter developed a website, and he's very good at computers. And Peter's an older gentleman, in fact, older than myself, so he knows older. But he's excellent on computers. He had a partner, Dwayne, who just recently passed this spring. And we talked, and I did the ads, and I said, you know, I've got a little bit of resources. I'm not adverse to doing something for BMT, so I said, any ads, and we ran like about 4 months of ads in 2 gay papers in Milwaukee. And I paid for the P.O. box, and let's get it started. And Peter did that. Our first meeting, we had 36 members, or 36 people showed up after announcing it for a couple months.
This was in what year now?
This would have been, I think, 98. 98 or 99. Fall, it was probably fall of 98. Second meeting, we had 15 of the people who came back with about 3 others. And primarily it was couples, but there were a couple singles. And we're a group, we like each other, we're going to socialize. If we do a little educational items, we might do that about AIDS outreach. We're not interested in the region, or we're not in, and I was feeling not so good about it, because to me, the connection is not just to have a social group in Milwaukee, but connect with our fellows, our brethren in either the Midlands and Nashville. So that was one thing. My husband and I, Michael Ross or Ethel Chambers, went to the region in Indianapolis, and we said, we've got a chapter again, announcing Granley and first in the co-chairs of the Midland region, Chip and Brian said, how would you guys like to host the regional? And I said, I'd like to. I don't know what my chapter would say. So I said, I'll take back the information. Went back to the chapter, and everyone said, what is a regional? And I said, well, it's a gathering, it's like a social fraternity. You get 50, 70 people there for a weekend and do it. And everyone said, no, we can't do it. We can't do it. But I asked Peter. And Peter has a way of talking to the members. And about 4 months later, Peter brought up the subject, and he and I could do it alone. We just got their approval that we would run the regional. And so in the spring, we took back to the Midland region that we would host the Midland region in the fall of 2000. And we did. And it was very successful. And it wasn't just Peter and I running it, because everybody else got involved. And I'd say 16 of our 22 members got involved in doing something for the regional, and they all had a fantastic time. So much so that this last spring, when Detroit hosted the regional, 12 of our members went there. And for this convention, there were supposed to be actually 4 of us from Milwaukee coming to the regional. But at the last, when the other couple were supposed to come, they got the notice that all the rooms had been booked here, and they didn't want to go someplace else. And they were going to book at the last minute to come in. They were going to come in for the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, talent shows, banquet, and some other things. So, but I've been asked to take back information regarding the convention. They don't know about Kansas City. That's I'll get information about also. But there is interest in Milwaukee now of traveling and being part of the national and the regional. In fact, one of our members is considering running for a regional office and possibly even a national office. He was never attended a national event, but he's heard enough of the director's position in the NMNT. And he's actually a medical doctor. He's the deputy medical examiner from Milwaukee County, pathologist. So he is quite well connected and a lot for his work structure in that field. But that's basically my history on that aspect.
Well, let's go back a minute here. I'm not doing any work here. I just asked one question and you've gone for 20 minutes. That's good.
I'm like an old-time preacher.
When you went to your first national convention, what did it feel like? I mean, how did you react to it? What was your
First of all,
feeling?
when I went, I also offered to do a workshop. Irvin Rothenberg from, at that time, Memphis, was the program coordinator, and they put out a solicitation for people who were going to do workshops. And I can contribute something because I was a gay man who was married with children. Children was part of my relationship for myself, but for my partner. I could not have a partner who didn't accept my children. And my first partner did, and my current partner, Michael Ross. Children love my partners like a mother or father. And I will say this, regarding Michael and my oldest daughter. She had the option when she turned 14 to stay living with her mother. She petitioned the court on her own to move in with Michael and myself. So, but at convention, I offered to do the workshop about black and white men together, relationships, and then having children in that relationship. And I thought I'd give it, and I had all sorts of documents prepared, and I said, oh, no one's going to show up, no one else is interested in that. And Jim McCarran from Seattle was there, his partner was Larry, I can't remember, but Larry Darby. There were 14 people to start, and I was overjoyed. I figured, boy, this is great. You know, that many people would be interested about having relationships and having children. Gay men having children and then having relationships and being out to their children and all that.
Yeah, was in the same
Right.
situation you were.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I ended up is, as we got going, it grew that there were 24 people in the little room, and I didn't have enough handouts because I made handouts and it was fantastic that way. And I don't know that I did an adequate job on the presentation. I think I helped some people because I had a lot of documentation. But the overall, that was the first time I met Dr. John Bush. And Dr. Bush, I think at that time, was the national treasurer and was running to become the national co-chair, African-American co-chair. And I listened to this man, and I was hooked on his personality. I mean, John can be abrasive at times, but he was very literate. He was an emotional man that could write poetry, and it was beautiful, and he just inspired me. And his partner that he ran with, the co-chair, was Tim Wilson. Just the opposite, not extroverted at all, quiet, going out. But as a team, they were fantastic. And you know, I just wanted to be part of that. I went home and I started talking with my parents, and I still respect my parents. My father's 83, my mother's 81. They made me pledge that I would never join, or I would never take a national office, because I had defamed the name enough in the Milwaukee area by being an out-gay man, that as long as they're alive, and I pledged to them, so I would never run for national office, but if they passed, I would, because I would love to be part of the national organization, that I would run for the directorship or treasurer, if I could have that place. But I honor my parents on that. But I basically, because I can't, what I want to do is, and being an officer, because of the pledge that I'm honoring, I try to be financially generous to this organization that I love. One thing that is interesting is, somewhere in late '83, when I first went back to BWT, I was there because the man I had loved had left me. And when comes wrong, I had left a woman and she loved me, and she was having trouble, and now I had trouble. And I was very depressed, and I was actually contemplating suicide. So much so that I was a swimmer and always was a good swimmer. But I was going to go out to the Milwaukee lakefront, go off the pier, and just swim east until I collapsed in the cold water and drowned. And I actually got so much where I got in my car, drove down to the breakwater, parked the car by the breakwater, and couldn't get out of the car. And I don't know what it was that saved me, other than there was a BWT function the next night that I wanted to go to. So, to me, I always say now, BWT saved my life.